National Football League headlines around training camp as we approach the regular season, just 2 weeks and 1 day away from the season opener on Thursday, September 5th, inside Arrowhead Stadium, a rematch of last year's AFC Championship game between the Chiefs and the Ravens. Speaking of a championship game, but in the other conference, will the Dallas Cowboys ever get back to the NFC title game? I'll tell you one thing that would help: signing CeeDee Lamb. Jerry Jones, who likes to talk in front of microphones, continued to do that yesterday. All talk in terms of having promising talks with CeeDee Lamb in progressing to a new contract as the star wideout for Dallas continues his holdout from training camp. Reportedly, the Cowboys had offered CeeDee Lamb a $33 million per year salary that would make him the second highest paid wide receiver in the National Football League, but still backed by $2 million per season behind Justin Jefferson. And I think CeeDee Lamb has every right to argue he should be paid like Justin Jefferson. He is as prolific as Justin Jefferson, a fellow first-round draft pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. So, Donnie, do you put any stake into what Jerry is saying, that they're having, quote, promising talks with CeeDee Lamb's representation?
You had 6 to 8 months at this point to have those promising talks. And CeeDee Lamb, this is what I love about the Dallas Cowboys, too, is it's very rare that I come on, because I'll look at Jamar Chase in Cincinnati and say, if he doesn't show up in week number 1, you still got T. Higgins, you still got Burrow. It's like, you know what, they could probably manage here. You take a look at the San Francisco 49ers, Ben, and you say to yourself, Brandon Ayuk, if he doesn't show up in week number 1, you know what, they'll probably be fine and they can certainly manage. I feel like CeeDee Lamb has such a leveraged position with the Dallas Cowboys, because honestly, and I understand one player doesn't make an entire season, but I feel like CeeDee Lamb shows up. You pencil them in for 10 wins on the season. You pencil them in for fighting the Philadelphia Eagles with the NFC East Championship and maybe winning a playoff game or two, which, winning 2 of those is pretty unlikely. But you feel me on this? If he doesn't show up week number 1, why does it feel like the Cowboys are a 7-win football team? It just feels that way. Like, if I'm CeeDee Lamb's management, I go, you know what? I told you I wanted Justin Jefferson money. Now I want Dak Prescott money at this point. And I feel like it's almost like the Cowboys have to pay him. Like, for one, outside of just like Patrick Mahomes not showing up, we understand. Or even like Dak Prescott, because the quarterbacks we know are certainly more important than other positions on the field. But if you just say CeeDee Lamb takes the Le'Veon Bell strategy, I'm just not playing this year, it feels like all hope is lost for the Dallas Cowboys. They better pay him, and pay him a lot, and pay him sooner than later to get him back in that lineup.
I completely agree, DRS. There is not going to be a big market mover or a change on a team's roster than the quarterback spot. And you can argue what Dak Prescott's ceiling is in terms of playoff success for Dallas, but there's no doubt he's one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the National Football League, who has been the starter at the Star for 8 consecutive seasons in large part. I would still argue, however, that CeeDee Lamb is by far the most important player on offense outside of the quarterback spot. And I'm not sure what the reason is for the move. Dak Prescott is at training camp, although he needs a new contract, or he enters the final year of his current deal with the Cowboys. But we have seen market movement against the boys all offseason, when really the only move that should be happening, barring a devastating injury, is positive movement, because the betting public is feeling the optimism on betting your price to win a division, to go over your win total, to maybe finally compete for a conference championship. But in fact, Dallas now tied for the 4th best price around the NFC at 8-1. Earlier this offseason, it was a 6-1 price. The Eagles have moved well in front of Dallas in both the NFC East and NFC Championship markets. I completely agree, Donnie. I believe CeeDee Lamb is a huge leverage point and a huge changer of Dallas's outlook this season. Now we go to our weekly Jets update. This from the mouth of Aaron Rodgers yesterday, but it was strictly about football, saying the Jets have made this one of the hardest training camps he's had in maybe close to a decade in terms of how many reps they're doing and what they are doing. It is hard, Aaron, when you show up to practice, and I guess he's finding that out.
Yeah, and granted, this is what the Jets need. It's not as if you're saying, like, well, hold on. The Jets have been to the playoffs 16 out of the last 17 straight years. We deserve to have some time off because that's what works. Apparently not making the playoffs is what's actually the Jets' MO. So maybe changing things up and working a little bit harder in the preseason here to get that team ready for week number 1 is what you need. And also, Aaron Rodgers didn't play a lot of football or take a lot of reps last year. He needs those extra reps, and I understand he knows the playbook. It's Nathaniel Hackett. He's already been there a season, but those reps on the field are valuable in training camp, and they're getting those now. So I like actually hearing this. Hey, man, this has actually been a hard training camp. You think you're trying to make the playoffs for the first time in a decade and a half at this point? It better be hard.
And, Donnie, I joke about Aaron Rodgers showing up to practice, of course, because he missed mandatory minicamp, but I actually do think this is a positive thing, and the sentiment around the comment was not, man, they're really working me like a dog. It was, hey, it's good that I am out here to gain these reps, to gain this experience with a team and a roster I haven't really had many game reps with. This, finally, a positive sign of football terms for the New York Jets this offseason and training camp. We shared yesterday Tua Tagovailoa's strong comments on the difference of mentality between current head coach in Miami, Mike McDaniel, and his former head coach who was there to start off his NFL career, Brian Flores, who is now the defensive coordinator with Minnesota. Flores had a response and was asked about this after practice for the Vikes yesterday, saying, quote, "Look, I'm human. That hit me in a way that I would not say was positive. I've got to use that and say, how can I grow from that? How can I be better?" I thought it was a refreshing take. And Flores also added, "I wish Tua nothing but the best. Right now, I am focused on the 2024 Vikings."
Yeah, I wish he would have went out to a bar and had a beer with Brian Flores and got the actual real response, what he probably wanted to say to that question about Tua Tagovailoa. Sure. But you do have to learn from your mistakes here. He'll never be a head coach again in the NFL because of that relationship, and he probably understands that at this point. So happy with being a defensive coordinator and away he goes. But I didn't get much out of that other than I was waiting for the admission, that was me. I don't like that guy. I think he stinks, but he's making a lot of money. Good luck to him. I got a defense to run here.
Listen, I don't think Tua's comments were all that inflammatory. He did not think very fondly of Brian Flores, but I thought his transparency was worth it. I think Brian Flores' response in return to what Tua had to say, also very fair, hoping to grow from it, from that mentality, understanding what his players needs outside of the X's and O's. A futures forecast around the National Football League to start off hour number 2, live right here on this Wednesday on the early line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. In our second half an hour, that's when we'll have Mark Zinno join us first for some college football predictions and a look at the Week 0 slate, including the Dublin debut of Florida State and Georgia Tech. And then, of course, we win with Zin, a Major League Baseball map around this Wednesday as well. But we start DRS with a future forecast and focused around the NFL.
We do. And also, as I was going over the items that we are going to be doing research on today, the dates did throw me off because there's a segment coming up that I said, you know what? How did I miss the Philadelphia Eagles being NFC favorites right now at this point? And also going over not who's going to win this year's MVP, who's actually going to win next year's MVP as well. So we got the crystal ball today, baby. Let's do it.
Completely agree. I think this is really shoddy work out of our production staff, and it's one of my pet peeves. It's one of my pet peeves in a very, very big way. This will be known as the 2024 NFL season. We will never call it the 2025 NFL season. It's not even the NBA or college basketball that spans 2 calendar years, despite the fact that it does. It is referred only to the 2024 NFL season. So when you see 2025 on the screen, no, we do not have an early look at the odds.
Is it on the graphics?
Next year, it's where the ticket is going to be cashed. Yes, look, there you go. Look,
I'm telling you, you know what's wild about this too? Because it says 2020, again, the way your brain works when you bring this up, you look at it, I can't even function 24 and 25 because it throws me off. Was that last year? Was that supposed to be the next year? Even though we know the mistake has been made, your brain still reads it as the wrong year, and it completely kiboshes any argument I want to make because it throws me off every single time I even try to get started.
So listen, Joe Frizo, our producer, is not wrong. Jesse Metzger, who made the graphics, is not wrong. On the FanDuel Sportsbook, it says the 2024-25 AFC Championship or the regular season MVP. And technically, the regular season is even played into 2025, as Week 8 is that first weekend of January. And, of course, the Super Bowl is in February of 2025, and the postseason is in 2025. But in football terms, we categorize it only as the year it is played. We never, ever, ever say the 2023-24 NFL season. It is just the 2023 NFL campaign. That's where Lamar Jackson won his MVP, or now, upcoming, the 2024 NFL season. So Donnie Rightside and I are making a statement here on the early line, and please listen, everybody. We are only calling this year 2024. We don't care about 2025. That is next year. That is how it is properly stated on the early line from here on out. So when you look at the odds as of this moment, it is the prices entering a season with the ticket cashed the following year. So on your left, Mahomes was the favorite at a 6-1 number entering last year. On your right, Patrick Mahomes is the 5-1 favorite to win the MVP of this season. Left, last season. Right, this season. Don't worry about the dates on the top. Patrick Mahomes remains the favorite to win the NFL MVP award, DRS, year over year.
Yeah, it's, again, going back and just looking at it, trying to formulate an argument with my brain is not letting me go through this stuff. Like 2024 is last year. I'm like, okay, does that mean, because what I want to actually read this is like
tough.
Holmes to start this season is a 6-1 price, but at the end of this season, he's going to be a 5-1 price at this point. So I understand what I'm getting at is Patrick Mahomes each and every year is probably going to be the favorite to start and finish the season. But just saying it like next year, Mahomes also is going to be the favorite to win the MVP. It's really throwing me off, man.
He's gone,
it's
man.
Just throwing me off. It is. My brain's
gone.
fried. It's gone, man.
This is going to be tough because this is our next three segments. We go to the NFC title odds after this.
Oh, my God.
We got the AFC.
Jeez,
we got the AFC championship odds up next.
I'm telling you, like, it's such a simple change, but just the way it reads, it completely throws off your entire mindset of trying to formulate the argument based on, because I'm reading it as like to start the season and then to end the season, there's what his odds are. It's completely throwing me way out of whack, man. It's this.
And I think the biggest difference is we can kind of understand the column on the right because it will be this year and the ticket will be cashed. But these are preseason odds. So preseason 2024 is a little bit difficult to see. Do you think the boys in the back are scrambling right now? You think they're trying to change the dates for upcoming segments?
Here's what I have to do. Like, just in the rundown, like, we have to change the numbers and just don't bring those graphics up. So at least it'll be like, I don't have to, like, because then again, if the graphic pops up, which is a fine graphic in Excel, but if I'm looking at a different number and then the graphic pops up again, the brain is fried at this point. But at least we know that, I guess you could even say, like, last year, this year, and next year, Mahomes will still be the favorite. So you can carry that argument all the way through at this point now. So, yeah, I get it.
It is good. The 2018 and 2022 NFL season MVP, Patrick Mahomes. Lamar Jackson entering last year, which was 2023, was a 16-1 price to win the NFL MVP award, of which he accomplished his second in his National Football League career. He is 15-1 this season. It's still like that might be even more convoluted.
You're making it worse behind this.
It's not it, dude. Joe, it is not it. Go look up the career stats of Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. It will never say that Lamar Jackson won the 2023. I understand. Friezo, we're making a statement here. It is our work. You guys can't hear Joe Friezo over the air, so we're having an on-air argument with our crew behind the scenes. But it is categorized in the way that it is said by our hosts and on the SportsGrid network is the NFL season is 2023. It is not 2023-24. On FanDuel, her name is Corey Goff, and we still call her Coco. So the FanDuel Sportsbook has to be logistically legitimate because then you could argue the legality of winning wagers. For the content nature, we will call last year 2023 and this year 2024. It's all good. We're having fun. Let's try to have a conversation around the odds if we even A couple of the biggest changing prices, Donnie, from before last year to where we are entering this year. Aaron Rodgers last year, 16-1, entering 2023. Now 25-1, entering the 2024 NFL season. This is an interesting one as well. Justin Fields, entering last year for the Chicago Bears, his third NFL season. He was 20-1 to win the NFL MVP. There was that optimism for Fields entering last year if they could figure things out in the Windy City. That is no longer the case. He is 150-1 and, of course, plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You know what's funny about that, too? Because we keep it in Pittsburgh, too. Don't you remember just a couple short years ago, it was Mitchell Trubisky that was the leader in the clubhouse to be the MVP before the season started one year? I mean, it's crazy how you can see those leaps and say, you know what, I think this guy is going to be able to take over. And then remind yourselves at the end of the season or even 2 seasons later, what the heck were we actually thinking Mitchell Trubisky being one of the favorites to be the MVP of the NFL? But that's how you're trying to catch sometimes lightning in a bottle because, of course, it's easy to say. It's Mahomes, it's Allen, it's Burrow, it's Herbert, it's Hurts here, but somebody's always going to be a surprise. Like we talked about, quarterbacks for the Houston Texans last year. CJ, unbelievable player. You never thought he was going to be in the MVP race. And in the last month of the season, we were making arguments that he actually could be one of the leaders and be the MVP. So somebody is going to be surprising, no doubt about it.
150-1 was C.J. Stroud's price entering his rookie season in Houston. He now has the third best price to win the NFL MVP award at 10-1. And Stroud is also the favorite or has the shortest number to lead the National Football League in passing yards this year. Could we see a second-year player win the MVP award? Perhaps, as the odds makers expect, in 2024's NFL season. This is going to be fun. NFC title odds next. All right, we can't bury the lead. Let's show the graphic. Let's make sure we can all be on the same page.
I'm not making eye contact right now with my camera because I don't want to see that graphic. I have the right odds in the rundown, and that's the way I'm going with. I don't want to see any of these graphics.
Yeah, okay. Don't look at the graphics. We'll just have the conversation.
Nope.
We try to do the changing year to year in the preseason of the NFL MVP preseason odds last year and entering this season. If you were listening to the start of hour 2 or watching, it went a little bit haywire. We do the same examination of the NFC Championship odds entering last year and where things stack up entering this year. Entering last year, the reigning NFC title winners were the Philadelphia Eagles, and the graphic looks beautiful. Jesse and Joe and Matt, great work behind the scenes. Yeah, okay, you're good. The Philadelphia Eagles were the favorites entering last year at plus 330, 70 cents in front of the 49ers. The Vikings had a 12-1 price with some promise of Kirk Cousins after a playoff appearance and a 13-win season in 2022. But now entering 2024, Donnie, the story is really the San Francisco 49ers price in my estimation. Yes, the Lions and the Eagles are tied for that second-best number, but San Francisco was nearly half every other team in the conference. The 49ers enter with a very short price of plus 300.
And it does make some sense because when you're looking from last year into this year, the Eagles were the favorites coming off the Super Bowl championship. Now, whether there's going to be a hangover, we didn't know about that. There was no hangover technically, as the Eagles were 10-1, maybe the best team record-wise, at least in football last year. Then we saw the 49ers actually being the better team. Focus on this year now, the question marks that come up, because you're still seeing some of the same teams come up in that top 5, but the 49ers, you had a 3-1 price, I do think makes a lot of sense. We're expecting really big things out of the Lions, and the Eagles also to be competent, and then the Packers with Jordan Love and the Cowboys. You get the picture. Primarily the same sort of teams that we were looking at in 2023. But if we are saying, well, what's the difference? Why were the Eagles last year a plus 330 price and this year now sitting at a plus 550 price? The reason being is the question marks are up here. The 49ers don't have nearly the same amount of question marks right now than the Philadelphia Eagles do. 2 new coordinators here, basically a brand new defense. How are they going to gel together? So it makes sense to me that from last year to this year, you're flip-flopping with the Eagles and the 49ers, and I agree with that. I do.
Yeah, I would as well. Do I think there should be a $2.50 gap for the 49ers in front of teams? Not necessarily, but when you look at proven pedigree, San Francisco having the opportunity to cash even a relatively short number of 3-1 is going to be there. The 49ers have made 4 of the last 5 NFC championship games. The Lions were there a season ago, the Eagles the year prior to that, but it was Detroit's first appearance in the NFC title game last year in more than 3 decades, and the Eagles had a large drop-off following 2022. DRS, as we look at the NFC championship odds from this season, the Packers last year, 20-1. Kind of came out of nowhere. New quarterback in Jordan Love, rallying down the stretch to earn a playoff berth, and then pulled off the upset at the Star. They won 6 of their last 8 games, and that upset over Super Wildcard Weekend over Dallas. Now the Packers and the Cowboys tied for the 4th best price at 8-1. Of those 2 numbers, to round out the top 5, which one do you believe is a better bet?
It's such a tough one. It really is. And maybe you could probably say if it's just between the Packers and the Cowboys, it would be the Cowboys. You say, boy, that's crazy. I thought you weren't all that high. It's just who you're up against on a week-to-week basis and how you can win. Let's take a look at all 5 of those teams, Ben, on the graphic. What's the difference here? You see the 49ers sitting up top. The rest of the 4 teams, nobody's in the NFC West, which means there's an easier pathway to victory, what the odds makers are looking for the 49ers, which could lead to home field advantage throughout the playoffs. You take a look at the Lions and the Packers. They're going to do battle all season long just to win that division. Somebody's got to win it. Somebody's going to lose it, which makes that pathway harder. Same thing with the Eagles and the Cowboys. Somebody's going to win it. Somebody's going to lose it. But what we're factoring in here based on the odds is the 49ers aren't going to get that push. So worst case scenario, maybe they don't get the number 1 overall seed. Maybe they get number 2. But we do know they're going to have a home playoff game, which we can't guarantee for the other 2 football teams that are listed there with those wild card weekend games, which they might have to be winding up in. So I do find it interesting that way. But for me, that's why I said the Cowboys. And again, oh, Don, how could you do that? You're an Eagles fan. Forget about that. It's irrelevant who your fandom is. If we're looking at going into the season with question marks, the Eagles have it and the Cowboys have it, no doubt. I just think the Detroit Lions might be a stronger presence than the Packers, which would hold them back a little bit. But we'll know first month of the season, first month and a half, once we get to the quarter pole, where we stand. But that's just my opinion. The 49ers deserve to be up top because I think their pathway to victory in the division is the easiest out of the remaining 4 teams that are going to be fighting with each other.
The 5 best numbers to win the NFC this year. It's the NFC West, San Francisco 49ers, and then the 4 other teams, 2 from the NFC North, the Lions and the Packers, and 2 from a same division as well, the Eagles and the Cowboys, out of the NFC East. Donnie, when we think about last year and how the playoffs came to be, I find it a really fascinating conversation because what is a good bet with a conference championship number? A ticket that will not be cashed until late January of 2025. What I find to really be the conversation is, did it provide you value? Did it give you a cash out or middling option as you get throughout the postseason? It's why I would never bet the Cowboys price at an 8-1 number to win the NFC, because they can't even reach the game that would allow them to even have the opportunity to cash the ticket. That's the NFC Championship. That's my stance. I am not changing it. But think about the teams that were almost there a year ago. The Packers out of nowhere, 20-1 in the preseason. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who had the 3rd best price to win the NFC South, won the division for a 3rd consecutive year and played the Lions in that NFC divisional round. The best price out of the NFC South is the odds-on favorites in that division, the Atlanta Falcons. Their number is 11-1 to win the NFC title. Is it worth a wager?
It could be worth a wager on that, too, because you're looking at and trying to progress. Same thing I talked about the San Francisco 49ers here, Ben. Who has the easiest path do you believe to win that division? Because that guarantees you're in the playoffs and with a home game, at least one of those once you get there. Yep. And I do think in the NFC South, I'm more willing to take a flyer on Atlanta because I'm expecting to have a big season at Kirk Cousins. But at the same time, I'm not saying this year, ooh, man, the Saints are going to be really tough for the Buccaneers. Didn't you see them last year? They won the division and a playoff game. They're unbelievable this year. I don't believe that. I actually do think the best team in the NFC South is the Atlanta Falcons, and that's the wager I'd be willing to take out of those teams.
Yeah, the Falcons, a -120 favorite to win the NFC South. You can always paint a path, and you can correlate numbers, especially right now in the preseason, of all the future bets you can make. Win total, divisional price, conference championship number, if you believe in an organization. From the NFC to the AFC now. To the AFC we go now, where there was a big 3 entering last year, and it's slightly changed entering 2024. Donnie, there was a thought that the Chiefs, the Bills, what is he doing?
Check some things out right there. Yeah. What do you got? What? I can't check something out? Well, I'm trying to set up the
I
next
don't
segment.
know, man.
Oh,
You just lunged across your camera. I
yeah.
was like, do you
Let me get
know
the
that we're
phone out.
live?
Had
All
to
right.
send a tweet out here to the
Anyway,
people because of base what was going on from the last segment. So got to set the people straight here with graphics. You know what I mean? We're a digital show. We got to be
okay.
digital. Uh-huh.
Okay, I love it. All right. Anyway, as we look at the odds from where we were entering last year to where we
Yeah.
are entering this year, that's 2023 last year, 2024 this year, there was that big three component. The Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, the three teams that had been flirting with conference championships the last 3 years, really 4 years in the AFC. The Chiefs were the favorites then. The Chiefs have the same exact number now at plus 350. And frankly, how could you bet against Kansas City? There's not a miss AFC championship game number that is available. It would just be not betting that short price of plus 350. But in all 6 years that Patrick Mahomes has been the starting quarterback in Kansas City, the Chiefs have made it to the AFC championship game in 4 of those 6 years. They have won a conference championship in 3 of those 4. They have won a Lombardi trophy. So KC still stands tall atop the AFC championship odds.
And there should be. And I say this, and you're not supposed to be this as an independent handicapper and try to think about what's going to take place this season as opposed to what happened in the past. But I still can't get around this. That Chiefs run last year on probably their least talented team that they had was the most impressive. So now I'm looking at the Chiefs this season as being more talented than last year and beat the Miami Dolphins at home, which again, the Dolphins were banged up. That game was like minus 35 degrees. But then you go on the road to Buffalo, on the road to the Buffalo, Baltimore, and then beat San Francisco in the Super Bowl. Like, why not? Like, why isn't that price? I probably would bite on Ben a minus 350 price for the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. That's how much confidence I just have is, oh, is Mahomes playing today? Yeah, they're better. Well, wait, Donnie. The other team has better running backs, better wide receivers, better linemen, and a better defense. I don't care. One team has Patrick Mahomes. That's the only thing that matters. So you see 2023 and now 2024. I completely agree. Until Patrick Mahomes and or Andy Reid is out of football, they will be the favorite every single year. Why? Because they have the best player on the planet and the best coach for him, and that's all that matters. If my quarterback is so much better than yours, it doesn't matter who's on your defense whatsoever. He's going to score, and he's going to win.
So, DRS, even with Kansas City being the favorite, and correctly so, even if you think KC comes up a little bit short from whatever your standard is, you are still trying to select that second team that would play the Chiefs in an AFC title game. In your mind, who is that team most likely going to be in 2024?
Because again, there's quality teams, understandably, in the AFC with legitimate chances to win. If we do remove the Chiefs from that equation, say who's going to battle them for supremacy in the AFC, you look at the odds coming into this year. The Ravens plus 550. They'll be there at the end. They're a double-digit win football team. Lamar is sensational in the regular season. So maybe they wind up and rematch them in the AFC Championship game. If I'm going a little bit far down the list, maybe it is the Texans. And I don't want to buy into the hype too quickly, but even from what I'm seeing at a preseason camp and also the games itself, C.J. Stroud looks like he's so far ahead of the game already with a better football team around him than he had last year. Why not? It's not too soon maybe to buy in on the Texans because that talent looks like on a week-to-week basis, they're going to be hell on wheels. Maybe it is the Texans at an 8-1 price challenging the Chiefs for supremacy in the AFC.
There is always a surprise, though. And Houston was that AFC South champ that won a playoff game a season ago. And the Texans entered 2023 with a rookie head coach in DeMeco Ryans and a rookie quarterback in C.J. Stroud with the longest price to win the AFC. 16th out of 16 teams in the conference, 85-1. Now an 8-1 number, that is fifth best. How about Aaron Rodgers in the New York Jets? Last year, fifth best number at 10-1. And despite the non-successful season in 2023 that came crashing to a halt week number 1. The Jets' price is actually shorter entering this year, although not making the top 5, only 50 cents back of Houston at plus 850.
I think they're a better team this year, Ben. You know what I mean? For the Jets, I think they made some moves, solidify that wide receiver position. Running backs coming back healthy this year. Aaron Rodgers hopefully can stand up under center. The only question mark for the Jets is how that offensive line is going to mesh. The rest of that football team, it's really good, and they'll be fun to watch this year, including game number 1 against the Niners.